The photograph arrived at the Chicago History Museum in a plain manila envelope. It was part of a regular donation from an estate. Margaret Sullivan, a digital archivist who worked with old photographs, took it out of its protective sleeve and placed it on her light table. The picture showed a rich family in a fancy Victorian parlor around 1914. 5 people looked back at her. The father sat stiffly in a leather chair. The mother stood next to him with her hand on his shoulder, wearing an elegant high-collared dress with lace. 3 children were there too, 2 boys in matching suits and a young girl in a white dress sitting on a small stool. Margaret had seen many photos like this. Wealthy Chicago families often took formal portraits to show their success. This one had expensive furniture, heavy curtains, and careful poses. She started her usual work, scanning the photo at high resolution. The new scanner could capture tiny details. After 15 minutes, the scan was done. Margaret opened the file on her computer and zoomed in to check for damage or interesting parts. She looked closely at the background, the wallpaper, the furniture, and the heavy velvet curtains around a large window. Victorian homes often had such windows to display their wealth. Margaret was about to move on when something in the window glass caught her eye. She zoomed in more. There was a face in the reflection. It was not from anyone in the family pose. All 5 people were accounted for. This was someone else. She adjusted the brightness and contrast. The face became clearer. It was a young girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old, wearing a simple dark dress. Her expression looked haunted. Wide eyes, and a small face full of fear, longing, or sadness. Margaret's heart beat faster. Her expression looked haunted, wide eyes, and a small face full of fear, longing, or sadness. She had seen accidental photos before, but this felt different. She checked the donor notes. The photo came from the estate of Elizabeth Morrison, who had died at age 94. It was a portrait of Elizabeth's grandparents, the Morrison family, rich Chicago industrialists. Margaret counted again. 2 parents and 3 children. Who was the 4th child in the window? Margaret stayed late at work that day, staring at the enlarged image. The next morning, she searched census records. The 1910 census listed Charles Morrison, his wife Catherine, and 3 children, Charles Jr., Robert, and Eleanor. There were also 2 servants. The 1920 census showed the same family, still 3 children. No 4th child anywhere. She checked birth records, death records, and newspapers. The Chicago Tribune had many stories about the Morrisons, including birth notices for the 3 children, but nothing about a 4th. Then she found a note from 1907. Mrs. Morrison had been away in Ohio recovering from illness, and the household had hired a trained nurse. While she was gone, Margaret went back to the photo. The girl in the reflection looked about 7 in 1914. If born in 1907, the age matched. She contacted Cook County Hospital Archives. They found a record. Catherine Morrison gave birth to a premature baby girl on March 14, 1907. The baby had developmental issues. No name was listed, just baby girl Morrison. Margaret searched institutions for children with disabilities, but found no record of a Morrison child there. The girl must have stayed home, hidden away. Later, she found a short obituary in 1918. Morrison, October 14th, at the family residence after a brief illness. Funeral private. The death certificate said female, age 11, died of influenza at the Prairie Avenue home. Name, Morrison, given name blank. Servants might know more. Margaret tracked down descendants of Mary O'Brien, the cook from 1908 to 1915. She spoke to Mary's great-granddaughter, Patricia Chen. Patricia said her family remembered stories about a little girl kept on the 3rd floor. The family never spoke of her. Staff called her Annie. She was sweet but different, and the parents were ashamed. Only the sister Eleanor sometimes visited and read to her. Mary left because she could not bear the sadness. Margaret checked the old house at 1847 Prairie Avenue. It had been torn down in 1956, but she found floor plans and photos. The third floor had a small room labeled storage, with a window and its own washroom. In old pictures, that window was always covered with heavy drapes, keeping it dark and hidden. She also found records from the photographer Hartwell's studio. A note from 1914 said the family mentioned a sixth member who would not be in the photo but might be present. The photographer saw a young girl watching from the doorway. A nurse took her away. Mrs. Morrison looked upset. Then Margaret found Eleanor's diary from 1914. Eleanor was the 9-year-old girl in the white dress. She wrote about Annie, her hidden sister. She visited her, read stories, and felt sad that Annie could not join the family. On the day of the photo, Annie slipped downstairs to watch. After the session, Annie cried as the nurse took her back upstairs. Eleanor never forgot her. In 1918, Eleanor wrote that Annie died of influenza. She was buried without a name on the stone. Margaret visited Graceland Cemetery. In the Morrison family plot stood a big obelisk with names for the parents and brothers. Off to the side was a small flat stone with only dates: March 14th, 1907 to October 14th, 1918. No name. She contacted Eleanor's daughter, Susan Thompson. Susan knew the story from her mother and agreed to help. They placed a small bronze plaque near the stone. In memory of Annie Morrison, March 14th, 1907, October 14th, 1918. Daughter, sister, and child of God. Hidden in life, but remembered in death. May her story remind us to value every human being. The Chicago History Museum created an exhibition with the photograph as the main piece. Visitors could clearly see Annie's face in the window. The show told Annie's story and the wider history of how some wealthy families hid children with disabilities. In the early 1900s, many people were moved. Some shared their own family stories of hidden or forgotten relatives. The exhibition helped others look closer at old photos and records. Return to the cemetery. One quiet day, she stood by the plaque and spoke softly. "Your story is told now, Annie. Everyone knows you existed. Everyone knows you mattered. You are not hidden anymore." A gentle breeze moved through the trees. For a moment, it felt like a quiet thank you carried on the wind. The photograph still hangs in the museum. Annie's face in the window, reminding everyone to see what was once hidden and to remember every life that matters. Years later, the story of Annie Morrison continued to touch many hearts. Margaret received letters from people all over the country. One woman from Texas wrote that she discovered her own great-uncle had been hidden in the attic of the family home in the 1920s. She used the same methods Margaret had used: old photos, census records, and servant stories, to bring his name back into the family history. Another man in New York found a faint face in the background of his grandfather's wedding photo from 1919. Thanks to Annie's story, he recognized it as his hidden aunt, who had lived with a physical disability. He contacted distant cousins, and together they added her name to the family tree. Schools began using the exhibition in their lessons. Teachers showed the enlarged photograph to students and asked them to look carefully for hidden details. Children learned about kindness, fairness, and how important it is to see every person. Some students wrote letters to Annie, telling her they were sorry she had been hidden and promising to treat others with respect. Margaret gave talks at libraries and universities. She always ended with the same message: look closely at old pictures. Listen to the stories that were almost lost. Every face matters, even the ones someone tried to keep out of the frame. One spring day, a group of young people with disabilities visited the museum. They stood in front of Annie's photograph for a long time. One girl, about 12 years old, pointed at the window and said softly, "She looks like me when I feel left out." Her teacher hugged her and whispered, "But now the whole world sees her, and we see you too." Susan Thompson visited the grave often. She brought fresh flowers every October on the anniversary of Annie's death. Sometimes she brought her own grandchildren and told them about their great-aunt Annie, who loved stories and had a gentle smile. The children grew up knowing that every member of the family was important, no matter how different they seemed. Patricia Chen, the cook's great-granddaughter, felt proud that her family's small acts of kindness had helped keep Annie's memory alive. She started volunteering at a center that supports families of children with developmental delays. She often shared Mary O'Brien's story, how one servant's quiet care and later honest words helped bring truth to light. After more than 100 years, the Morrison family photograph became one of the most talked-about items in the museum's collection. Visitors from different countries stopped to look at the small face in the window. Some left notes in the guest book saying the story changed how they thought about their own families. One note read, "I called my sister today just to tell her I love her. Even when we argue, no one should ever feel hidden." Margaret kept working with old photos, but she always looked a little longer at windows, mirrors, and backgrounds. She taught other archivists to slow down and notice every detail. Because of Annie, many forgotten stories began to find their way back into history books and family conversations. On a quiet afternoon, Margaret sat again at her light table with a new donation. As she scanned an old family picture from 1912, she smiled softly. She knew that somewhere in the details, another hidden face might be waiting to be seen. She whispered to herself, "I'm looking now. I won't miss you this time." The gentle lesson from Annie's photograph lived on. Kindness cost nothing, but forgetting someone can hurt for generations. By seeing Annie, people learned to see each other better. And in the end, that small reflection in a window glass became a bright light that helped heal old family wounds and opened many hearts across time. Every year on the anniversary, a few people still gather at the grave with flowers. They speak Annie's name out loud so she is never forgotten again. Her story, born from one careful scan of an old photo, continues to remind the world that every child deserves to be loved, seen, and remembered, no matter what. As time passed, the impact grew even wider. A documentary filmmaker heard about Annie and made a short film called The Girl in the Window. It was shown in schools across America and even in other countries. People watched the enlarged photograph and listened to actors reading from Eleanor's diary. The film ended with real families sharing how they now looked more carefully at their own old pictures. A children's book was written about Annie too. It was simple and gentle, with soft drawings of the big house, the third-floor room, and the kind sister who never stopped caring. Young readers learned that being different is not something to hide, but something to understand and love. The book became popular, and libraries held special reading hours where kids could talk about their feelings of being left out or seeing others left out. Margaret retired after many years, but she never stopped thinking about Annie. She kept a small printed copy of the photograph on her desk at home. Whenever someone visited, she pointed to the window and told the story again. "This is why we must pay attention," she would say. History is full of quiet voices waiting to be heard. One day, a young archivist named Sarah started working at the museum. Margaret trained her personally. She taught Sarah to scan slowly, to zoom in on every reflection, and to ask questions when something felt wrong. Sarah found her own hidden story in a different photo. A few months later, a boy standing behind a curtain in a 1920s picnic picture. She followed the same steps Margaret had used and brought that boy's name back to his family too. The circle kept growing. More and more people began to honor the memories of those who had been pushed aside because they were different. Support groups formed for families who had similar secrets in their past. They met to share stories, cry together, and find ways to make things right, even many years later. In the museum, the photograph of the Morrison family still draws crowds. Parents point out Annie to their children and explain why it is important to include everyone. Teenagers stand quietly, thinking about their own friends who sometimes feel invisible. Older visitors wipe away tears, remembering relatives they wish they had known better. Annie Morrison, who lived only 11 short years in a hidden room, ended up changing how thousands of people see the world. Her face in the window glass, caught by accident more than a century ago, became a symbol of hope and remembrance. It taught everyone that no life is too small to matter, and no story is too old to be told. And so, On quiet days when the museum lights are low, the photograph keeps its silent watch. Annie's eyes still look out from that window, gentle and hopeful, as if saying thank you to all those who finally saw her. Her memory lives on, warm and bright, reminding us all to open our hearts and truly look at one another, because in the end, the greatest gift we can give, across time, across families, and across generations, is simply to see someone to say their name and to let them know they were never truly alone.